Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. My voice will be out today because I was screaming and dancing and having fun yesterday. So there you go. Ted Butler came out with his latest amazing stuff. Go to butlerresearch.com to join. But he was talking about what I've been talking about for quite a while, the attempt to hide the Bank of America silver leases. And I was always of the opinion that starting in January, because the leases were less than 1 year, so they had to close out the leases by the end of the year. I think they are doing that by the end of December, which should be interesting. What's the next rig job for silver? If it's not the JP Morgan silver leases, what is it? So I guess we'll find out in January, February timeframe what they're going to do next. Or they might not do anything. I don't know. But clearly something's happening in the precious metal derivatives. So you look at the quarterly derivative contracts and all precious metals. Remember, they changed it. The guy from JP Morgan who works at the OTC changed the reporting to include gold with silver, platinum, and palladium. So you can't really tell what's going on. And what I think is happening is by the end of the year, Bank of America will close out all their derivative positions on the OTC, over-the-counter derivatives. But to do that, the data would have showed it. So they changed the data. They put gold in at the beginning of the year. They put gold in with all the silver and precious metals. But apparently they're getting out of the gold world as well. My take was they're gonna, because there are places that reports the amount of precious metals they have. So if you look at Bank of America, it went from 39 million to 64 billion to 64 billion, which is massive jump. And that's just in 1 quarter. So what I think they're doing, and I talked about this a lot, to hide what's really going on, they're going to take some gold contracts, some kind of structured derivative gold contract, because when you do that, you completely obliterate any trace of what was going on in silver. So they upped their ante about just less than 30, what was that, $25 billion worth of change. But I think what's going on behind the scenes, because third quarter and fourth quarter of last year, those were the big silver, huge jump up to 1.2 billion ounces. So I think we're coming to the end of that delivery, and you can see on the overall. Now look what JP Morgan did. They dropped 30 billion. Goldman Sachs almost dropped their whole precious metal derivative thing from 18.5 billion down to 2 billion. So a massive $16 billion dollar drop in derivatives. That's gold and silver. But the big silver player was Bank of America, and that's the only one that went up. Citibank went from 119 billion to 102 billion, so that's 17 billion. And the Citibank, yeah, there's some silver in there, but not a lot. Goldman Sachs and Citibank had a little bit of silver, but not much. It was JP Morgan and Bank of America at the beginning of last year. And as you can tell from the overall, look how far down the OTC derivatives are going for precious metals. This is gold and silver. But again, Bank of America is hiding what they're doing in silver, so it looks like they're adding more. At least the overall, they're adding more. They went from 39 to 64 billion, which is a massive jump. But it's not really what's really going on. They're just adding gold derivatives. It's probably just window dressing. So they're adding longs and shorts at the same time. Just all they need to do is hide the data for the end of the year, and then they can go back to whatever they were doing, because the silver derivative part will be gone, is what I believe. And I've been saying that for a while. Ted Butler's coming to that same conclusion now that he sees this data and how much Bank of America took on versus everybody else is getting out. And overall, everybody's getting out of gold and silver derivatives. Look at that. I would say mainly silver. I think that the big banks will be completely out of silver by the end of the year, out of the silver derivative game. And you'll see them probably be removed from the COMEX, if the COMEX is even going to stay open. I don't know if it's going to stay open. If you look at the COMEX, clearly the volumes are going down, 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 down. I mean, yesterday's volume was, or the 16th volume was only 52,000 contracts, which is 250 million ounces, which is tiny compared to the average. Like, they were averaging about 500 million ounces per day of criminal derivatives. So something is going on. This is even more interesting. They still haven't delivered. There's still 1,113 contracts that haven't been delivered. We're over halfway through the month. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, it's not that much when you think about it, 5.5 million ounces. But at the same time, why not deliver? If you have the silver, you would have delivered it because you've already had to pay close to 3 weeks of storage. So I don't think they have it. But we'll see. Might come down the last day and they'll probably settle. A lot of what's being done right now is just to obfuscate, to cover up what's really going on behind the scenes in silver. Zero Hedge article from Shift Gold. COMEX registered silver falls to 11.1%, lowest in 22 years. Yes, everybody's finally determining, I don't own silver unless I own the physical stuff in my own possession. So all the big money players are like, holy shit, I got to get out of silver. It's about to go crazy. And there's nothing. It's kind of like cryptos. Nothing was wrong with cryptos, but the price got smashed because of Sam Bankman-Fried and the deep state. All they were doing. Bitcoin is still a Bitcoin. Theta is still Theta. I mean, Theta's become so much better now than it was when it hit $15, and it's under 80 cents now. It's 70 something cents. So definitely be dollar cost averaging in, but keep your cryptos off the exchange, because they're gonna click a mouse and set everything to zero at some point. I have no doubt they're gonna shut down Binance and COMEX Coinbase. They're gonna shut down Coinbase, and you're gonna lose your tokens if you have them in there. Same with Gemini. All of them. That's the big plan. This was orchestrated takedown. So we'll see what happens, right? Meanwhile, I'm on the hunt. On Wednesday, I have at 4 o'clock Pacific time with David Morgan. We're discussing, a couple other people too. We're discussing the U.S. Mint. And we need to get to the bottom of, are they breaking the law? Do they have the ability to break the law? What does the actual law say as far as Silver Eagles? Why is the U.S. Mint saying, oh, we're doing all these great things, except they can't make enough Silver Eagles? And by the way, I have a great spreadsheet that shows just how disingenuous Tim Power was, the guy from Sunshine Mint, who blamed COVID. He blamed COVID on not producing enough coins, but in 2020, when COVID started, he produced twice of what is being produced now. Two times. So, I mean, if COVID's over, theoretically, and yet he can't make any coins. Sorry, the silver blanks. So, yeah, it'll be a lively discussion, I think. And I've been going through the law. There's a difference in legal terms. The term shall make coins or may make coins. Shall means you have to. You're required. May means you get to choose. And clearly the Silver Eagle law is a shall. Other coins, I mean, if you read the Silver Eagle law, I mean, look at the beginning of it is Secretary of the Treasury may mint and issue the following coins. And it has the gold, not the eagle, but the other gold dollars, like the 1/10 of an ounce and 1/4 of an ounce, things like that. But not the silver. Silver may prescribe weight. May is a huge thing versus shall in legal terms. May means you have the option. And here we are with the Silver Eagles, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Secretary shall mint and issue in quantities and qualities that the Secretary determines are sufficient to meet public demand. Now, they added the part that the secretary determines, but it doesn't. I mean, the secretary always determines. The secretary is the boss of the U.S. Mint ultimately. The Mint answers to the U.S. Treasury. It's a division within the U.S. Treasury. So Janet Yellen was always the one to make the decision. But what is she trying to determine? Legally, she's determining if there is enough Silver Eagles, right, that are sufficient to meet public demand. So she does have a legal obligation to make a determination, are they meeting demand or not? And I would love to hear her excuse of why she thinks Silver Eagles are meeting demand. As a matter of fact, I've been through this with the U.S. Mint for like 20 years almost. 15 years ago, I wrote a FOIA request to the Mint asking for all the documentation that says from the Treasury Secretary to the Mint that says they can put coins on allocation, meaning that allocation was breaking the law the whole time. And there were none. I got two return letters. One said, no, it's not urgent. And then a few months later, I got an article saying, no, we can't find anything that there's no correspondence between the Mint and the head of the Treasury about anything about curtailing. So I'd still put it on the Mint. Either way, they are both required by law, the Treasury Secretary and the U.S. Mint by law, to make enough Silver Eagles to sufficient to meet demand. It's that simple. And if they're trying to twist it and turn it, which I don't think they are, they're just not answering the question. They're not fulfilling what they're supposed to do. But if they're trying to twist it and turn it, come out into the public and explain it to everybody, because everybody sees what was written in the law. And if you have a different interpretation, Janet Yellen or U.S. Mint, please talk to us. We've been flapping in the wind for 20 years on this. And everybody, even the lawyers, look at it and say, yeah, they have to meet sufficient to meet public demand. It doesn't matter who decides it. The fact of the law is they have to do it. And the boss is the one who determines whether or not they're meeting demand. If Janet Yellen can make any kind of argument that they are meeting demand right now, and she's fulfilled her duty, I would love to hear that argument. Anyway, it is possible that they are making the coins, then they're just hiding them. They're not selling them to the public, but that's another thing. They have to sell coins. They got the sale price in here. The sale price is determined by the cost of the metal. This is another thing. Somebody was trying to tell me that, they can't pay more than spot price for silver, and that's why they're not making Eagles. That's bullshit. They get the bars from the LBMA or the COMEX, either one, and they bring those in to get verified, and then they send it out to the processor, the Sunshine Mint and other mints, who turn them into blanks and then give them back to the Mint. Yes, it's a long, drawn-out type of thing, but the importance of the Silver Eagle in the future as money, you got to get these things right. They're going to have to change the law again, too, by the way, because the Silver Eagle law requires it to have reeded edges. Right there, number 5. Reeded edges. That's the little bumps. Well, now they put a notch in it, and they didn't change the law to talk about the notch, the security notch. So they're breaking the law again on that front. And then it tells you exactly what the sale price is of the silver. And it's shall, again, it's not may. They use may all over this thing, but with Silver Eagles, it's shall. The secretary shall sell the coins minted under subsection E to the public at a price equal to, okay, get your calculators out, the market value of the bullion at the time of sale. So the COMEX value or the LBMA value the day they sell it. Now, they have a gigantic hedge book, which I'll talk about in a second. But so that plus the cost of minting, the cost of distributing, including labor, material, dyes, use of machinery, and promotional and overhead expenses. Nowhere in there does it say any markups should be made. You shouldn't be making money on the Silver Eagle program. That is not in the law because the sale price is very specific. And there's a reason they put that there. They wanted to get as many coins out to the people as they could. And in bulk sales, you should get a discount. And these are all numismatic, by the way. Legally, it says right here, for purposes of Section 5132 of this title, all coins minted under subsection E shall be considered to be numismatic coins, period. So if they say we're going to confiscate everything but numismatics, there you go. You got your numismatic coin by legal definition in the Silver Eagles. Do I think they'll do that? No, it'd be crazy because we have a global economy now. Silver's traded all over the world. There's a lot of problems. It's like them trying to set the price of oil, cap the Russian oil. It's ridiculous. The very nature of it is ridiculous. And so I'm going to get into what the legal definitions of shall and may, and it's pretty obvious. The word shall is mandatory and not discretionary. So, Janet Yellen, it is mandatory, not discretionary. The word may is permissive. You may do it, so you have a choice in may. But shall, the legal definition of shall, is mandatory and not discretionary. So, we'll see what the U.S. Mint does. I've been diving into the Mint. It was 2015 that they made 47 million Silver Eagles. As a matter of fact, when David Ryder was the head of the U.S. Mint, we were making a lot of Eagles. The year he shut down for 2 months, they always shut down in December for some reason, but they shut down for a month and a half when they needed to change the die. Why it took a month and a half, I don't know. But after that, they never got up to full production. Inquiring minds want to know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. As far as cryptos, there's idiotic people out there. I like Wall Street on a parade sometimes, but they have no idea what a crypto is, and they hate it because of that. So yeah, and they're siding with this criminal Brad Sherman. Anybody in crypto knows who it's the most ridiculous anti-American out there. If he wants to ban cryptocurrencies, that means the United States is guaranteed to lose economically in the future. He's just too stupid to understand it or too corrupt, because all the people who contribute to his congressional, wallet are banks and processors of transactions that the cryptos would just get away with. You wouldn't need them. So yeah, Brad Sherman's a criminal, and I want to see how many payouts this guy got. But yeah, anybody saying there's another thing going around. Senate banking chairman says, see this. The headlines is completely different. Senate banking chairman says SEC should ban the cryptos. I mean, and then you read down the article, and here's what it says. The Hill reported comments by Senator Sherrod Brown to NBC on Monday saying that the SEC should consider a ban on crypto. Should consider. Amidst the high-profile collapse of FTX and regulation discussions this sparked, the chairman of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs committed to saying maybe to a potential ban. Is that different than Senate Banking Chairman says SEC should ban crypto? No, he didn't say that. And it would be the dumbest move in history. But, our government is stupid. Can you imagine every other country would be jumping for joy if the U.S. bans crypto? It'd be the dumbest move in history. Cryptos are the future. You can argue all you want, and I've been hearing the arguments forever. This is very different than the last orchestrated slam, where they used the Mt. Gox Bitcoin to slam the price, along with derivative trades, which they can do easily. This is a takedown of the deep state within pedos. This is the takedown of the people behind Tether and EOS and the same people behind FTX. Just keep that in mind. And don't forget, FTX was not just about crypto. They were funded. They had a $10 million Trump lose kitty, a fund so they can literally to fund anybody who's going to do anti-Trump stuff. They have they sponsored and paid for the test that made ivermectin on the bad list, which, that's millions of lives that could have been saved. by ivermectin, starting it early. And now even the doctors are saying, yeah, that's what we should have done, ivermectin. But FTX sponsored the single study that said ivermectin's bad. Literally, Sam Bankman-Fried and his cronies were trying to kill people off, which is scary. Anyway, that's what I got for you. My voice is fading fast. You want more info, go to roadrooter.com. Read this thing, The Hidden Secrets in the New $100 Bill. I think this end of this year is going to be really exciting for silver. I don't see the banks are clearly getting out of the silver derivative world. You can tell by this graph. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, if it was just silver, here, these were just silver, you would see bang, bang, bang. It would go down to practically zero, like they were at the beginning of 2001. Just keep that in mind when you're buying your next silver ounce. These guys are running for the hills. These are the big banks. They're getting out of silver derivative, the silver derivative game. And they're trying to hide their way out of it. Anyway, you want more, go to roadrooter.com, hit subscribe today, and we will send you the coolest silver coin ever made, the Rooter Lives coin, right to your front door. And when silver blows by $50, it's going to whatever. I think ultimately it'll be 1-to-1 with gold. And I think gold will do well. There's just so much of it. Gold will go, $5,000-$6,000. Silver will go to $5,000-$6,000 too, though, because it is absolutely necessary. And there's so little of it compared to gold. So that's my take. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.